The girlfriend and I, we broke up at the start of the year. Since then, as I look for a place for myself, I've been staying with friends. And here's the thing that your hosts need to know about taking in a house guest who's just coming out of a relationship. Take masturbation as a given. Someone goes from a long-term relationship and flat hunting with a girl to nothing. Yeah, it's going to happen. Accept it. As the weeks pass and you fail to find a flat, the suspicion that you're cracking one off the wrist under their roof, that's only going to increase. That suspicion's only going to increase. You've got to be ready to face that down. So what I do to counter that suspicion is I affect a little sniff, a little, like that. Nothing too obvious, nothing OTT, just enough to maybe give a hint of a cold coming on. Something that they can maybe notice.
You got a cold coming on, Dan?
I think I have, You see, by sniffing just enough for my hosts to notice the night before any tissues they might find around the house, they're just going to give me the benefit of the doubt. They're going to put it down to me blowing my nose. And if I get caught in the act, I hope that my hosts recognise that I've jeopardised a 30-year friendship for no other reason than I needed to. I couldn't help it. I hope they can understand that. And if I do get caught doing this in their house and I have to go, I'd accept I have to go. I'd understand the decision. I don't know what they tell their kids. Their kids would grow up never knowing the truth behind my disappearance. I doubt that the friendship could be repaired. And 30, 40 years from now, my friends would be growing old. They'd be ready to unburden themselves of the secrets that old people carry. Old people always have secrets, and they'll call the children in, and the children will now be parents themselves, and they'll tell them why the Spaniard disappeared. They'll tell them why they never saw the Spaniard again. I know me doing this in their house, it's not ideal. I understand that, I'm not comfortable with it, I'm not going to lie, but surely it's better than me being out there on the rebound, hunting down and trying to nail anything that moves. Imagine in years to come, maybe after some prolonged therapy, imagine that maybe I meet someone, I find happiness again, and all of a sudden my world is turned upside down. I start to feel unwell. I learn that I've got HIV or some other sickness, which I got during this period of promiscuity. Promiscuity that was, that only happened because my host frowned on the masturbation thing. Who's going to look after me when I'm sick? I'll have to grow a beard to disguise how I'm going. I look, this new girl, she's not stupid. I don't date stupid women. She's going to guess what's behind the weight loss. She's not going to hang around for this to get worse. I tell her, stay with me, baby. Women like it when you throw in a baby. We'll set up a foundation, okay? We'll set up a foundation in my name. We'll go through the motions. We'll do a few, sponsored walks, runs, whatever they do. And then we'll start siphoning some of that money off. We'll go on a few expensive holidays, just you and me. We'll take those holidays soon, just before I get sick. Okay, just before I get too weak. All I ask is that you stay with me to the end. I don't want to die on my own. I don't want to die on my own. Just sign this. I'll leave you everything. Just all you got to do is sign it. Staying with friends, I found I quickly lost control of my pants. My clothes go into a communal wash. The friends want to save on energy bills. I get that, but I would rather wash my own clothes. This is what's wrong with the communal wash. I don't need this. I'm a 39-year-old man. Why do I need someone, looking at the state of my pants? They're probably thinking, this guy claims he was once successful, claims he sold 3 TV shows. When did he sell the TV shows? Look, the gussets shot right through. Look, they're doing all this. I don't need that moment. I can do this myself. No one needs to know about this. watch all these pants going into this communal wash, and I think that, you know, just not long ago, just a few weeks ago, months ago, these were pants that, you know, were rubbing up against my ex's crotch or being removed by her in a prelude to making love, and this is where they are now. Seeing these pants here now doing nothing, just sitting there, it's kind of like walking into a museum and seeing a Roman dagger and thinking thousands of years ago this dagger was being wielded by some legionnaire, you know, carving up the enemy on the battlefield, you know, and now that dagger's there and it's doing nothing. I find this very sad. So what happens is the clothes get taken out of the tumble dryer, they get put in the basket, they get taken upstairs to the host's bedroom, and yeah, I don't want to come across as anal. I would rather take charge of my clothes here at this end, and then, you know, I'm in control. I can take my clothes to my room, sort them out. Yeah, I know what I'm wearing the following day, but the clothes are going up to their bedroom. You know, the bedroom, that's their place, that's intimate. I don't want to see the bedroom. But this is what happens. I now have to ask, you know, I have to ask for my clothes. When my hosts chucked my pants down last thing at night, I have no idea what's coming to me. They give no thought as to what I might be doing the following day. They tell me, look, you've got to take charge of your life, you can turn this around, you've got to take responsibility for your situation. I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, let me start with the pants. You know, let me start with the pants. Have they forgotten what it's like to worry about your underwear? In my early weeks here, I was still hoping to salvage my relationship, but how could I salvage my relationship if I had no input into my pants? In the history of breakups, has any man managed to save his relationship when he's had no control over his pants? Do you mind knocking the light off, please? Was there the possibility that any last-ditch summit with the ex might lead to sex? If so, were the pants that I was given good enough? Because, you know, when you're trying to get back together with someone, you've effectively got to start again. Those misshapen pants that you were wearing towards the end of your relationship when you were taking each other for granted, those aren't going to cut it anymore. Or might I be going to the doctors? Basically, might I be going somewhere that involves someone seeing me in my underwear? I just want them to give it some thought. Does it ever cross their mind where my next lay might be coming from? Would they fancy me in these pants? Or these? How about these? I don't want my pants being thrown down to me within 10 seconds of me calling up for them. Make me wait, create the illusion that some thought's going into this. I want to hear my hosts upstairs. I want to hear them, you know, disagreeing over which pants they're going to give me tomorrow. That's what I want.